Last of Us being turned into an HBO show.
I actually really think it's cool, and it's one of those things where it's like they announced like that Uncharted movie is supposedly shooting next week, and like
Uncharted movie.
I mean,
I'll believe the Uncharted movie when I sit down in the theater. That's been like rebooted.
It's a double feature with that
when
and
the credits roll. Like even in the theater, I'll still be unsure. But like, but this feels more real.
Is it just because of HBO or because of just TV in general? You feel like TV is a faster pipeline?
I think video game. I mean, we were just talking about the Castlevania show, and it's like I think HBO like tweeting it, and like the fact that HBO made like a Watchmen sequel that worked really well. It's like another thing that you wouldn't think would ever actually happen. And then also the fact that Druckmann is involved and is actively tweeting about it, like makes me think it's like, well, I think this thing's actually going to happen and be like a real thing. You know?
Yeah. So it's also with Craig Mazin, who's the creator of Chernobyl, which people loved on HBO. And I guess he's a huge Last of Us fan. He says it's his favorite game of all time. And like I listened to his podcast, Script Notes, I think it is. And he was talking about something that kind of gave me pause, where he's like, oh, we're really excited to get started, but at the same time, they have to finish Last of Us Part 2 before we even like really start locking down what this thing is. So it could be further away than we all think with an announcement like this.
Sure.
And he's talking about like Neil Druckmann being involved, which is super cool that they brought him in. At the same time, though, like he was writing the Last of Us movie years and years ago. Remember, like Sam Raimi was going to produce the Last of Us movie, like what, 2015? They had like panels about it and stuff. And Neil Druckmann was involved in writing that one as well. And so it's just like he's been working on this project and this adaptation for so long. It's still super exciting.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird, though. I just feel like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I saw the movie Last of Us, and it was like the game Last of Us. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't. I mean, it's cool, but
yeah,
because I think there was a press release maybe that did hint that it was going to be like an adaptation of the first game,
right?
And it does beg that question. It's like, well, didn't I see the sort of the best version? Didn't I already experience the best version of this? Like, but then they could change things. You know, like they could they could certainly make it more interesting or take different directions. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, if I had to guess, because there was this thing where like Druckmann tweeted out a bunch of characters, and then there was like these 4 kind of squares. It was like a redacted name.
Because he was saying like, hey, celebrating International Women's Day.
Yeah, exactly.
So it seemed like they were adding more female characters.
So people are thinking it's like a 4-letter name, woman, Anna, her mom.
You know, we're talking about The Last of Us Part 2. There's a lot of speculation that she's going to be a huge component of that. So especially if he's just been focused on this Anna character for so long, maybe he does want to like go back and kind of incorporate her. Like maybe even have like open it kind of like on a dual track thing of like showing a little bit of like Ellie's origin and then also Joel's origin with his daughter or something like that.
I bet it's kind of like Game of Thrones. Like Game of Thrones was like an adaptation of the book, but there were certainly things that were like left out. There was things that were like some characters were synthesized into 2 characters. There was, you know what I mean, just different aspects that were added.
Yeah,
so
like that makes it worth watching this new version of it just to see how they tackle it. You know?
Yeah. So what do you think? I mean, we all love how, you know, they say they're not going to make another season of Watchmen. I think they're making another season of Watchmen. I think that headline, if you read the actual quotes, I think the headlines were not exactly reflecting what they were saying.
Is that good? Because I haven't seen it.
It's amazing.
My God.
I think we awarded it the greatest
work of art of 2019.
Wow.
You should absolutely watch it.
The movie was tough, so that kind of scared me off.
Honestly, I've
heard nothing but good.
It's
I
awesome.
should watch it.
But anyways, thinking about like how this thing is going to be structured overall, do you think that it's going to be like one season is the first game? Or do you think they're going to break it up and be literal about like, hey, there's a season structure to the game to begin with, right? Are they going to go through the seasons and make it like, okay, winter, fall, and then go with that for multiple seasons of the show?
I bet they steal bits from like the DLC that they think is good.
Yeah.
And just like
from
leave
Left
that
Behind
in
and
as
stuff.
like either flashbacks or whatever you want to do.
I mean, I think for it to have a nice beginning, middle, and end, I think they just follow the story of the game.
Like one season, the game?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I like the ending of that game is so amazing. I would love to see that be the end of the season, you know?
And I know that Naughty Dog was, like I remember on that cover story trip, talking to Neil and Bruce from Naughty Dog about like the origins of The Last of Us, and they said, yeah, we just wanted to make No Country for Old Men, but that as a game. Like that was the tone we're going for. Yeah. And so now it's so tough not to see if somebody has to play Joel, it's like, I think Josh Brolin could do it. Like, he's not quite too old yet. He's maybe getting in that territory, but like, if they have to,
I saw someone
really press for somebody
share like a picture of Hugh Jackman, like look with like bearded up, like in some film that he was in recently, and I was like, oh yeah, that looks like Joel.
Really?
Like I could see that as Joel.
I don't know if I could take Hugh Jackman seriously as Joel.
Google it. Hugh
Jackman with beard.
He's a fantastic actor.
Yeah. And of course, like when they first announced this back in 2015 with the movie, everyone's like, oh, you got to get Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones, get Arya in there as Ellie, but now
That'd be sweet.
she's a little too old for Ellie.
I think she can still play that.
Really? Like, how important is like Ellie's youth? You know, could she play a 20-year-old Ellie? Would that still work, or do you need that?
No,
Maisie Williams is only 22.
Yeah,
and she doesn't look. She
looks young.
Yeah,
she looks like a kid still.
Yeah.
There's dudes that play like high school kids are like 35.
yeah, that was like the 90s though. We're mature. We're trying to be more reflective. You know, trying to make it more spot on.
I still think she'd be great. Yeah. You know, that seems right.
If you had to pick a young actress though,
a young actress. Oh, the other. Okay, this is cheating, I guess, but like along with the picture of Hugh Jackman that someone shared, someone shared the actress from the movie Booksmart. Have you seen Booksmart?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. That's a good movie.
That's a great movie, and she has like that Ellie look, and she looks very young. I think she'd be very good.
Huh? That's a good call. Yeah. I was trying to think
thanks,
of
internet. I should have saved that for my get a load of this. See if I can track down that tweet.
Yeah. I was thinking about like who's
Booksmart
like,
was hilarious. That was awesome.
Let's talk about Booksmart for 20 minutes. It's a great movie.
It was very good.
It was like you know, feminist Superbad.
It was great.
Yeah,
kind of,
exactly.
basically.
I was thinking about like who else is like a young actress out there going young, especially if this thing isn't happening for 4 years. And realize that little girl in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like the little actress. That's like, hey, there we go, up and coming star.
Dude. What about that little badass girl from Game of Thrones? The one that like calls them all cowards and stuff. It's like the head of the one house. Yeah.
We did it. We casted it.
Done.
Yeah, she's
Good
awesome.
job, man.
Yeah. I can't. I feel
Neil.
bad because I can't remember her name.
No one can. That's all right. Yeah. All right. Done.
We
Signed,
did it.
sealed, delivered. We got
And
it.
Hugh Jackman as Joel.
Hugh Jackman. I don't know if we're like, are we all like signing up on Hugh Jackman?
Look,
Doesn't he have like part 2 of that like circus movie or whatever to do?
Oh, is he doing that? Oh boy,
Dude, that movie made bank.
Did it really?
Yeah, no,
Greatest
it was like
Showman?
an
Huge.
incredible hit.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
All right. Sure.
That's kind of weird because I watched that movie. Like, you know when somebody else rents a movie on a plane, but like you're too cheap to rent a movie, but yet you can't stop watching. Like
100%.
Like kind of like out your corner of your eye. Like I watched The Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
With like no sound, which is like it's a musical. But
Call
I mean, I
yourself a
feel like I
showman,
got the gist of it.
You get it.
Yeah.
You understand why it made so much money.
Yeah.
Sony
Real
News.
entertainment. Real old-fashioned Hollywood entertainment right there.
If you enjoyed this clip from the MinnMax Show podcast, we think you'll like the full show too. You can find it by subscribing to MinnMax's YouTube channel or on your favorite podcast app. Any help spreading the word to keep our whole indie operation here running is appreciated. We're here for and because of the wonderful MinnMax community, so you're welcome to join.